In 1973, there was a big research project from McGill University that tried to get a grip on the diversity of all the creatures that live in the Southern Gulf and just how tremendously important this ecosystem is. And they concluded that the Gulf of St. Lawrence was the most biodiverse and productive marine ecosystem in all of Canada. And at that time, they were very concerned because the Gulf of St. Lawrence is a shipping route for tankers bringing all kinds of toxic substances up into central Canada through the St. Lawrence River. And they were very concerned about the releases of oil from the ballast waters of those tankers as they came through, and they were single hull tankers and they were unsafe, and there was an aging fleet. And the leader of that research team, Professor Loutry from McGill, cautioned us in his report, saying that petroleum pollution was a real threat to this precious, diverse, highly productive ecosystem, and that the movement of petroleum through our waters should be very, very strictly governed and controlled, and that there should never be petroleum development in the Gulf. We used to be international stars in marine science in Canada. Our scientists, our marine scientists in Canada used to be invited to speak internationally and to serve on international commissions and engage in international joint projects. And these days, they're not even practically allowed out of the office. They're certainly not allowed to speak to the public. So things have really gone downhill, and I can assure you as a marine scientist that we do not know anything more now than we did in 2002 about the Gulf of St. Lawrence. It's getting acidic much more quickly than the open ocean because it is an enclosed sea. The water doesn't flush back and forth very well or very often, and the circulation patterns go in circles, and they circle around PEI, and they circle around the Magdalenes, and the water just kind of sloshes around back and forth, and after about 11 months it may make its way out into the sea again, and other water coming. So what we put into this ecosystem really stays around for a long time. Oxygen levels in the very deepest water of the Gulf, which is a big inland sea, really is a big Gulf, and very deep in the Laurentian Trench. Now, before we pursued the northern cod to commercial extinction, there was a big breeding population of northern codfish that spawned in the deep waters in the middle of the Gulf in the Laurentian Trench. Currently, according to DFO Science, published in 2010 and repeated in 2012, oxygen levels in the deep layers of water in the Gulf of St. Lawrence are so low that a codfish could not survive there now. Surface water temperatures are going up, oxygen levels are going down, acidity is increasing. Persistent toxic pollutants are still a problem, although we're starting to get a grip on it. And now, the petroleum industry thinks that now is the time to come in and start drilling. They want to drill an exploratory well halfway between the Magdalenes and the west side of Newfoundland. The best models and simulations of what might happen in the case of something like the BP, which was the BP disaster down in the Gulf of Mexico, which was an exploratory well. Exploratory wells are the riskiest, because that's punching the first hole into a body of oil or gas that's under pressure. That's always a high-risk proposition. That's where the human error, the small human errors, can turn into a big disaster, as they did in the Gulf of Mexico. If we ever had something like that Gulf of Mexico blowout in an exploratory well in the middle of the Gulf of St. Lawrence, it would be much, much, much worse than what happened in the Gulf of Mexico. We're a much smaller body of water, flushes much, much less. And there are so many fisheries, so much tourism. In 5 provinces, half the provinces of this great country have shores on the Gulf of St. Lawrence. 70% of the property tax revenue that supports our government here in Prince Edward Island is for coastal properties. A big chunk of our local economy is tourism that is focused on the coast. We have everything to lose and nothing to gain from Corridor Resources or any other petroleum company developing and drilling for oil and gas inside the Gulf of St. Lawrence.